Chambers of the Occult may contain content that might not be suitable for all listeners. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome back. Episode 22
Of Chambers of the Occult.
of Chambers of the Occult.
I'm Jay.
I'm Kai.
And who's that?
How are you all doing today, listener? This is Jasper back here. Hi, Jasper. He's our special guest
Yes.
for today, and we've got Loki down
Quite
over
quiet.
here, but can't see him.
Yeah, how are you folks doing?
Cool. Yeah, how are you folks doing? What pets do you have watching with you right now? Comment down below. Is there a way? We have Twitter, right?
Yeah.
We have Twitter. Yeah. If you guys want to send us pictures of your pet watching or / listening to Chambers of the Occult with you, like on Twitter or something, like reply to a post, we would love
That'd
that.
be cool.
That'd be
That
sick.
would actually be really cute.
Yeah, or I mean, just like send us a DM on like Instagram or something,
anything,
or whatever.
honestly.
Or anything. Yeah, anywhere you can send us a picture. I guess.
Yeah. We are swamped
awesome.
with things, so we might take a while to reply.
just a touch.
Yeah.
Just a touch. We're doing our best. Busy seasons right now. Just like busy towards the end of the year.
Oh,
right? Like
I was like,
work
yeah.
and
Yeah,
events,
honestly.
and all that. So,
But good though. It keeps us busy.
good busy.
Yeah.
Yeah, not like a bad busy.
It's
or
not busy from just like work
anything
or
like
like
that.
one category. It's multiple things keeping us busy, which is nice.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now, Kai,
All
what do
right.
you have to keep our listeners busy for the next half an hour to an hour or so?
I have a story.
Ooh. Is it a
I
scary
have a
story?
good story. I have a true crime story. So I mean,
Real life is quite scary.
yeah, if yeah, you might find it scary, honestly. I don't know if I really find it that scary. But like it's kind of terrible,
Fair.
you know, as most true crime cases are. So the reason they're true crime. Anyway, I'm rambling at this point.
You're good. I mean, it's good to
Someone
just get all the
opened your
nerves
door.
out of the way, you know. Give
Yeah.
the listeners an update what we've been up to, which
All right.
I think we did.
I haven't done this in a while. So, I'm going to start my case with a question.
Ooh.
For you and for
Are
our
you sure you
listeners.
haven't? Did you start the last one with a question?
If I did, ignore that.
Fair.
All right. So, yes. Have you ever seen the show Doomsday Preppers?
I have not. I've seen clips, very few clips. It's not like it shows up on my feed every other while. It's very rarely when I see Doomsday Preppers.
Got it.
And I probably
Okay,
have seen some of the older ones, but why?
You'll find
No,
out.
I'm scared.
But also listeners, yeah, let us know if you've seen Doomsday Preppers.
Yeah, if you keep up with it, or like,
yeah, I don't know. The last time I watched it was like a long time ago. I mean, I used to watch it growing up.
Got
you
it.
know?
No,
which is kind
I
of funny.
think-
Like with my brother or whatever.
yeah, rather than like Doomsday
Um,
Preppers, we would watch Storage Wars and
Storage
Tornado
Wars was
Chasers.
sick. Yeah, the two of them.
Yeah.
That combo of the 3
Uh-huh.
shows, so good. Anyway, if you don't know what Doomsday Preppers is, it basically follows like different people around the country or the U.S. mainly, is the U.S. That are all prepping for the end of the world, you know, in some capacity,
Yeah.
right?
As the name implies.
Exactly, yeah. As it's in the
Yeah,
title. Um, I'm stockpiling food, creating weapon armories, all that jazz. Um, a lot of them do even have like underground bunkers that they like stock with this
that's the
stuff
things
and
the
like
clips I've seen.
they get them. Yeah, sometimes they're just like below their house. It's like a little wine cellar, or I don't know. Sometimes it's like a bit more elaborate.
Yeah,
Um, I feel like it would be cool being down in like
doomsday
a bunker,
bunker
or like what are they like tornado
shelter. Yeah.
shelters or whatever, like down under, I don't know.
Fun fact, I don't know if
Kind
I've
of cool.
told you this. Um, my high school was built with like bomb shelters underneath. They were never used, obviously, and now they're only used as storage. But like, there's
Okay.
part of the campus, like the main campus that you can walk by, and you just see this big blocks of concrete with windows, and like it kind of indicates that you're like above like the bunker area.
That's
Yeah,
crazy. What?
yeah.
I mean, I guess it's good you had
I mean,
bomb
logically, like
shelters,
it
but
wasn't
like
deep enough to do anything, but like the intention was there.
this is
Luckily,
fair.
like it
This
was
is
never
fair.
used. It's now storage. But I always want to go like down under to like see what's down there.
Um okay, anyway, yeah. Like underground bunkers, stuff like that. Survivalists, as many of them call
Yeah,
themselves. They subscribe to like survivalism. It's community of people who are prepping for the worst, essentially. But a lot of them definitely can be quite the character,
yeah,
right? Like they're they're eccentric, or they're a bit goofy,
yeah,
or downright like kind of unhinged. Um, a lot of them are, and honestly, that's putting it lightly.
yeah. They have
um,
their range, like in everything.
they really do. They really, really do. Um, but I mean, who knows? I guess maybe they're the smart ones, right? For prepping when the world crumbles into chaos and
Yeah,
violence. Hopefully that never happens, but they're the ones that are
it's like
prepared for
a
it.
yeah, yeah. I was gonna compare it to a car insurance. It's like because I'm like, you don't get car insurance expecting you're gonna get in a car accident, but you get it just in
Like
case.
in
So I feel like
case.
that's maybe what they're
I guess
doing. But
so.
like I said, there's the range.
I guess so. Yeah, yeah. Um, well, anyway, what if, though, that underground bunker was the site of something far darker?
Mole people.
What?
Sorry.
What? Wait, what
I
did you
said
say?
mole
What?
people. I don't know. Underground?
Um, uh, that is true. They burrowed themselves. No. Like mole people
Yeah.
isn't not that it's actually what
Okay,
happened.
yeah, yeah.
Um, okay. Anyway, it's it's April 21st, 2012, in North Bend, Washington, the state of Washington. Um, everything is normal, fine. Peter and Lynette Keller and their daughter Kaylene are going about their lives as normal. Honestly, nothing out of the ordinary. Working, going to school, whatnot. Uh, but what they didn't know was that the end of the world was dawning in the coming days.
What year
Their
was
world,
this?
at least. It was 2012.
Got it. That explains it.
So it's April 22nd, 2012, in North Bend, Washington. Lynette and Kaylene are found dead in their home, both dead from gunshot wounds to the head, supposedly self inflicted. The firefighters that responded to a fire at the home were the ones to discover the bodies.
So they were dead and there was also a fire going on at the same time? Got it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So the firefighters did respond quick, though. Thankfully, the home wasn't damaged too much. A neighbor nearby quickly called. The firefighters got there really fast. Um, the home wasn't actually damaged all too much. Horrifyingly, of course, they found the bodies. But what they also found were 7 intact gasoline cans placed throughout the house.
Oh, so they got there in time.
Set in place. Yeah, exactly. So they were set in place to only make things worse. Thankfully, they didn't because the firefighters got there in time.
So this is a setup.
So it was, or was it? Who knows? What the firefighters didn't find, any
The
guesses?
gun.
The gun? Yeah. There's a big one, though. A big one that they didn't find.
I don't know.
Peter, the husband.
Oh, I was gonna ask if there
father.
was a husband involved, and there usually is.
Mhm.
Okay.
So it was Peter and Lynette. Those were the parents. Their daughter was Kaylene.
So Kaylene and Lynnette were found.
Kaylene and Lynette were found. Lynette was 41 and Kaylene was only 18. So
wow.
she was still pretty young. Yeah. But yeah, the father wasn't found. There were a dead mother, a dead daughter in this home. So of course the King County Sheriff's Office, where it was located, they immediately were set into action, right? They set up the crime scene. They got pulled to the home. They started their investigation. What happened to these girls? Where was Peter? They needed to find him. He was the prime suspect after all at this point because
the
husband's
husband's always
Nobody
the prime
was there.
suspect.
He's the husband. Exactly, right? Like it's the first person you investigate. So that's exactly what they did. And in doing so, the King County Sheriff's Office, they tore through the Keller house.
Okay.
Picking it apart, trying to find any piece of evidence that could point them in the right
like
direction.
where he went. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. So, the murder weapon. No. Was there a motive? Nothing that they could find.
Was it just a single shot?
Single shot to the head. Yep. No murder weapon, no motive.
No letter.
No real evidence, no letter. Nothing. His twisted mindset, though, his location. Bingo. They had something. It's April 23rd, 2012, in North Bend, Washington. And the search is on. But what did they find, right? What did they find while they were going through this house, tearing through it, going through what had barely remained after that fire? Well, remember how I started all of this, right?
Yeah.
Doomsday preppers, survivalists.
Is that what they found throughout the home?
That's what they found.
Oh.
Yeah. So Peter, the husband, the father, he was one of them.
Yeah.
He was a pretty dedicated survivalist, I would say. He had a collection of things he was putting together.
Food,
his family,
supplies,
I think
everything. His
family, I don't think they were fully in tune with what exactly was going on with him, but I'm sure they noticed something of how he liked to collect and whatnot.
Shit.
So they found a lot of this. The police, they scoured through computer data and hard drives that had information and photos on there. All of this intended to be burned by that fire that never even had a chance to spread. The fire didn't even spread past really the kitchen of the house.
Oh.
So it stayed relatively small. But of course there were those gas cans planted around that were made to blow everything up.
Not much of a prepper.
Thankfully, firefighters responded. So I mentioned photos. Photos, digital photos, sketches even that were determined to have been drawn by Peter himself. Wooded areas.
Oh, like foresty areas?
foresty areas, wooded areas with certain power lines in them.
And they were drawn?
Some of them were, or those were
Okay,
photos that were found on the computer, sort of a
got it.
location. What was drawn, what was sketched out, were the early makings of an underground
Oh,
bunker.
like the
Right.
early
So that's what he was
blueprints.
putting together, exactly like the early blueprints of it,
Okay.
which is what they found. So they knew, of course, he was now probably hiding out.
Wait, okay, because in my
Where could they
mind,
go?
where was the house located? Like, was it like a not like I'm assuming it's not like in the city. I'm assuming like it's in the outskirts.
Um, I think it was like just in regular
Okay.
suburb. So like not in the outskirts of like the city, but it wasn't super
Okay. So
populated
like the
either.
bunker wasn't
Um,
in the house. That's what I
no,
thought.
no, 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 no,
Okay.
no. Yeah. So yeah, pictures of heavily wooded areas. There were certain power lines that helped narrow down the search just a little bit. The police started canvassing so much of the area. The King County Sheriff's Office did so much work. They reached out to people in the area, residents of there, and they got lots of reports that they had seen Peter's truck at
Got it.
times
Okay.
in sort of sections of the
Yeah.
woods. That helped them narrow down the
Even
search
more.
even more.
Okay.
At this point, the officers, they had enough to approach a judge. This judge set out an arrest
Yeah.
warrant for 2 counts of first-degree murder and first-degree
Yeah.
arson.
Okay.
Here for Peter Keller. Um, and after days of searching, 6 days to be
I mean, the woods are
exact.
pretty big. Not gonna lie. So
Exactly.
yeah. Did they find like
6
the
days
truck?
of searching. They found the bunker itself.
Ah.
They found the whole bunker, which was kind of a crazy
Yeah.
discovery for them, because what they found was
Wait, was he
um,
there?
a what they found.
Okay. Okay.
Give me
Okay.
1
Yeah. 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 That's
sec.
fine. That's fine.
What they found was a 2-level bunker underground,
Oh.
that was built about 20 feet down into the hillside.
Okay.
So it was underground. It was
So
camouflaged,
this wasn't
super
like
well
a last
hidden.
minute thing. Like he had been doing it
No,
for a while.
he had been working on this for the past 8 years. He had been creating this bunker for 8 years, piling it with food,
That
weapons,
means that he started this when
ammunition,
his daughter was 10.
whatever. Yep. Yeah.
What?
So they learned all of this about
Yeah.
him. The police, they reached out to Lynette's family, who told them that he always was just kind of stuck up to himself. You know, he had a very deep distrust of authorities, and he always had this survivalist
Yeah.
mindset. So they should expect a fight, or they should
Wait,
expect
so who told them
something.
that?
Lynette's
Okay,
family,
got
so the
it.
wife that was
Because they had
killed,
met
their
him. They're
family.
like, you should be aware of.
Of
Okay.
course, yeah. Um,
Wait, I feel like that's hard though. Because you're going into a bunker that, I mean, I
mm,
guess they had the little layout, like the blueprint, but even how much of that
mm.
is actually there?
Exactly. Like it was way different. It was so much bigger at this
Okay.
point. Um, Small correction. I mentioned it took them 6 days to find the bunker. It took them five
Okay.
days. Still long, but whatever. Um, so it was on a hillside. It was close to what was called the Rattlesnake Ridge Trail,
Okay.
near the city of North Bend, and it wasn't exactly deep into the wilderness. Like it
Was
wasn't
it
in the
by
back
like a
country or
hiking trail
anything.
or something like that?
Yes, a hiking trail. Yeah. So it wasn't super far out, but it wasn't like super close to the
Yeah. I
trail
mean,
either. So
someone
there was
wandering
definitely
off
a
the trail
little
could
bit
have
of a
bumped
way to
into
get there.
it.
Likely,
Okay.
yeah. It was camouflaged super well
Okay.
though. Of course, leaves and everything scattered on top of it. Um, so they they found him. They learned that he was this survivalist, this loner who had been stockpiling food, supplies, money for years. And so they really started looking into what they found. Of course, the deputies, they were
Yeah.
careful, right? They stumbled upon this bunker. They didn't know who or what was inside, if anything. It could be filled with explosives as far as they know,
Yeah.
right? So, um, they were super careful. They were able to like look inside using cameras in a
Smart.
way. And eventually, of course, they got like, SWAT teams
Okay.
ready from the King County Sheriff's Office as well as from the Seattle Police
Okay.
Department. They worked together. They blew the top off of this
Oh, they're
bunker.
not they're not being discreet about it. They're like, "We found
They're not
you."
messing around. No, they're not messing around. They are ready to take this
Yeah,
guy down. Um, he was in there,
and I'm sure
right?
he was armed.
They knew he was in there. He was armed. Um, they knew he was ready to put up a fight. And so what proceeded next was a 22-hour-long standoff between Peter
And the SWAT
and the
teams.
authorities and the SWAT teams.
What?
Yep. Every news article was covering
Yeah.
this. Every media place was watching. Everybody knew. Everyone was kind of upset that they weren't just going in and like taking this dude out. But of course, the deputies, they had to be mindful of their own
Yeah,
safety
they
as well,
don't wanna
right?
have any casualties.
Of course, because they're going into this bunker with a guy that's heavily armed while they're
I mean, I'm
outside. They
I'm
did what
sure
they
that
could,
their, like, primary goal was not to, like, take him out, but to, like, restrain him.
Yeah. Um, they knew this could be
Mhm.
dangerous, so they set up a inner perimeter. They set up an outer
Yeah.
perimeter as well to keep people out. Um, this was 2012, right? But those sketches that I mentioned earlier, lots of them were from 2003, 9 years
Yeah.
prior. Um, and about what it wanted to be, it was going to be, there was, like it was gonna be a whole like lab, like to study viruses and things like
Okay, this
that.
man went from,
Um,
like, I am legend type of thing. He wants a full bunker with everything. Was he
mhm.
even a s what did he s like, do for work? I don't think he was a scientist.
um, I actually wasn't able to find
That's
that out
fine.
because there's not
Yeah,
much
'cause I'm
backstory on
pretty sure that
Peter. Um,
interesting.
anyway, yeah, there was details like that. There was other details um that showed how he ran PVC pipes into the bunker that would transport
Yeah.
water so he could get water from like the nearby streams and
Oh.
such. Um, and so, of course, they were prepared for the
Yeah.
worst. Like Peter was prepared for the worst. The deputies were prepared for whatever that they would get
Yeah.
into. There was that 22-hour-long
Yeah.
standoff. Of course, no cooperation. Um, eventually, what authorities did, what the police did, is they used tear gas,
I
right?
assume it would
So,
end up being some sort
um,
of gas to, like, get him to come out. Was he
mhm.
ready for that too?
So yes, he
Ah!
was. They shot a round of tear gas into there. They flooded the bunker.
Mhm.
Nothing. Nothing.
He's a
They figured,
doomsday prepper.
damn, he has a
Yeah.
gas mask, right? He's prepared for this. Nothing happened. Hours go by. They try again. They pump more tear gas and more tear gas into this bunker. Um, and he's surviving. He's staying in there for way longer than anyone ever
Yeah.
expected. Um, and so um, they eventually get him out of there. I don't know if it's a combination um, of the tear gas as well as deputies sort of actually raiding
Yeah.
it and finally going in there. But they do. So they get him out of this bunker. They, of course, arrest him. Um, that's all done with. They finally took this guy down 22 hours after a standoff. Now it's 6 days after the
Got
murder
it.
of his wife and his
Daughter.
daughter. Um, but prior to this, there wasn't any directly connecting evidence, right? That he actually killed
Yeah,
him.
he was, like you said, like a suspect. He was, like, someone to go off, and,
Yes,
like, they had to locate him.
exactly.
Yeah.
hmm Um, so they needed something, right? They got out, they immediately raided this bunker to try to find what they would. Um, Eventually, they were able to find bullet casings that did
Got it.
match what was used to
Murder
to
his wife
to
and
kill.
daughter.
Yeah, so they found all of that. They found that it was a pistol with a suppressor that he had used, so he did shoot both of them. He started this fire to, you know, burn the bodies in a way, but also to burn all of that
Yeah.
evidence that unfortunately was not, or that fortunately
Yeah.
was
Unfortunate for
actually
him.
preserved. Unfortunately for
Yeah.
him, exactly. Yeah. um. So they find this. On top of this, let me pull up the exact list of
Things they
like some
found.
of the things that they
That's fine.
found. Yeah.
I just think that I don't know.
Um.
This man is a standoff never ends well.
No, it doesn't. Um. Oh my gosh. What? No.
Is it longer than you
Um.
remembered?
No. I just completely misremembered. They didn't get him out of the bunker. Um. He shot himself.
So they got
And
a
then they got him
body
out of the
out.
bunker.
Wait, did
Yes,
he
they
like
got a
shoot
body
himself to
out
like
of the
injure
bunker.
herself or to like take himself out?
It was the end for him,
Oh, it
and
was
he knew
suicide.
it.
Okay. Wow.
It was suicide. He knew that's how he wanted to go out, and
They
so
never got a confession.
I'll get a little bit more into that in just a
Yeah,
bit. But yeah, I definitely do want to pull that up. I have a couple tabs open. I'm not sure where
that's
it
fine.
went. Uh,
Meanwhile, listeners, if you know anyone with a bunker,
yeah.
let us know.
Let your authorities know, actually.
Documented somewhere.
So they can investigate it. Yeah. So inside the bunker, there were 13 guns,
Not surprised.
lots of shelves filled with stacks of ammunition, a working stove, water jugs, sealed plastic containers, for storage filled with food, bags of concrete, PVC pipes, like I mentioned, helping water run in
Yeah.
through. Um, there was a small trailer that was found inside that was
A
described.
small trailer?
A small trailer. Yeah, like it was that spacious. It was that big of a
This man,
bunker.
I mean, he had 8
Um,
years to do this, but at the same time, that's
mhm,
okay.
mhm. Some like cans of gas cans, buckets. There was a whole ventilation system
Yeah.
inside there. And so nobody knew it was this scale. Like I mentioned,
There was blueprints from
Kaylene,
like
the daughter, and Lynettee, like they knew some of his shenanigans,
they
but
never
like
joined him.
they didn't know it was gonna, like they couldn't have known it was gonna be this
Yeah.
huge,
If
right?
anything, they're like it's his
Um,
hobby. Like let him do his thing.
exactly. There's some note from Kaylene's boyfriend that said that the daughter Kaylene had told her boyfriend that her father, oh, like he just gathered supplies. He was prepping for like the end of the
Yeah.
world or something like that. So
So the wife and the
probably
daughter never really took him serious. They're like, just let him do his thing. Some
no,
some men work in
no,
cars, other ones in bunkers.
exactly,
Got it.
yeah.
Okay.
um, so they right they are trying to get him out. They hear the gunshot. They find go in. They see his body, pistol, pool of blood, um, all of that, and so they research a little bit more. They find some other things inside of that bunker, and one of the things that they found was um, essentially like the storage, like the hard drive of a camera. Um,
What did he have pictures of?
and they check it out, and it's a video diary. It's a video
Oh,
diary. He would vlog himself
yeah.
in ways of his
Preparation.
what he was getting up to, his preparations, things like that. And so he had a YouTube channel
Did he?
that he would post on in a way. And so actually there is still the roughly about 10-minute clip of of his final message, essentially.
Wait, did he
It is
record
a
a, like, diary before he shot himself?
not
Okay.
exactly before he shot himself. It was recorded, it seems probably right
He
after
killed his
he killed Lynette and
okay,
Kaylene, or just sometime in those few days, like when the authorities were searching for them. Likely it was right
okay,
after, though. Um, the video is kind of a crazy thing to watch.
okay.
Um, he's so like calm and normal about it. He like restarts the vlog like 3 different times because he's like, "Oh, today, this is gonna be my last one." Blah. He's like, "No, that's not good." And it cuts to him restarting. He's like,
Sir, what do you think is
"Today's."
gonna happen?
Mm-hmm. He's like, "Today, this is gonna be probably my last video ever before I, cut ties with the world and drop off." And he talks about, he's like, "Yeah, I'll just have to be out here." He said, um, he said, a quote, "A while ago, I used to sit here and think, this whole thing is crazy. The more I thought about it, the more I understand it. I don't really feel bad about it. It's just the way it is. I won't have to worry about Lynette or Kaylene. Everything will just be taken care
R
of. It will just be me."
referring to I mean, obviously after or just as he was about
Exactly.
to, a couple of days before it, one or the other.
Well, he's out in the woods in this
Okay,
video, so it almost 100% likely was after he had murdered them. But in this like video of himself, he doesn't actually ever like directly
adm
like
yeah,
admit or acknowledge that he killed
yeah,
them. It's more of a, "Oh, this happened," or "After this." He's like, "It's probably going to be 2 weeks now after all this happens that I'm going to be, going off the grid." And he's like, "Well, that's unless they find me, which case then it'll be the end, but that's fine because I can just kill myself, I can just shoot
yeah.
myself."
He said that
That's
on
pretty
the
much like
okay.
how that's pretty much how he says in the video.
Ah,
Um Let me find
the
the
mentality of this
exact
man.
quote. Um no, it's insane.
He's
I will send you that
yeah.
video, and so you can watch it for
So
yourself
I can be
if you
like, "Kai, why
want.
do you put yourself through this?"
No, yeah, it's kind of crazy. Like he's just so calm. He's out in the woods. He's just pointing this like camcorder at
Yeah.
himself. Um
When
he's yeah.
when you covered the Issei Sagawa case, did you see the interview that they did with him?
I saw clips of
Okay.
it, but I
No,
didn't
he's
see
just
the
also
the whole
once again
thing.
very calm talking about the situation. Yeah, so I
Right?
feel like this man is at the same time like he knows what he did. He's like it is what it is and just very calm about the situation, not caring.
Mhm. Um so of course he's, talking into the camera. At one point he says, um like, "I realized I have to finally do what I have to do. Get it out of the way. At this point, I don't know what's going to happen. I may get caught right away. Basically, if I get caught, I'm just going to shoot myself. I could be dead in 2 weeks or 3 weeks. I don't know. I don't think anyone knows where I'm at, but if they put it together, at this point, I have to take that chance. I do have my escape, and that's death. I can always shoot
Oh
myself, and I'm okay with that."
god, no.
So those
That's
are direct quotes from the video that he recorded.
when you put the whole picture together, that's very dark. Because in his mind, he expected to, either be caught right away or have a couple weeks before he gets caught. It doesn't seem like he had the mentality that he was getting away with it.
Mm-mm. He said like he could try,
Yeah.
but he like he could try and he was going to, but he knew they probably were already gonna find him, and if they did, he came to the acceptance that killing himself was the way
Yeah.
out, right?
That's what it sounds like.
Um,
Oof.
there's another quote from the video. He says, I'm getting to the point where just trying to live and pay bills and live as a civilian and go to work, that just freaks me out. It's actually more comfortable for me to think about living out here, robbing banks and pharmacies, just taking what I want for as long as I can. At least it will be exciting. It won't be boring. And I don't have to worry about Lynnette or Kaylene, and everything will be taken care of. It would just be me.
I mean, obviously this
Yeah.
man did it, but there was no clear
Right? But like
confession.
he doesn't actually say that he
Yeah.
does, which is crazy.
I wonder if it's to like make himself feel better. Like if I don't say it, I didn't actually do it type of thing.
Right? Like he doesn't acknowledge it like in his own
Yeah.
head or something. Like he's still in like internal
Because
denial
that's the
about what
difference with like
happened
Issei
or
Sagawa.
something like that.
He talked about it openly quite often. And this man, even though it's
Hmm.
himself just recording himself, like he can't come to say it.
Yeah.
He,
Um yeah, he can't, and as much as he talked about it, he didn't he didn't directly say what he
no.
did, and he didn't say why he did it either. To this day, there's still no
That's what
motive.
I was
There
gonna
was
say
no
because did he
real
expect something
reason.
big to happen? Did he think he was just, I don't know, taking care of his wife and daughter would be better if like they didn't have to deal with it? I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know, and I think I do want to like explore maybe a couple of theories right
Yeah, go
now
for it.
about it.
That's what
I,
we do here.
okay, so the the one that like comes to my mind first is like he had such a twisted sense of like self-preservation in a
Hmm.
way when he says like, you know, it's more comfortable for me to think about living out here, blah blah blah, not have to worry about Lynnette or Kaylene. Um, uh, the most, I guess, plausible, quote unquote, in a way, is like, well, he was going to move out here, right? But he didn't want to have to take care of anyone, or he didn't want to burden Lynnette, Kaylene, or whatever it may have been. So he kills them to get them out of the way so that he can start to live his new life on his
Yeah.
own. Which at first is does sound like a good theory, right? Like he gets them out of the way, he doesn't have to take care of them, blah blah blah. But like why did he have to kill them? He could have just ran
Yeah, that's what
away,
I'm
no?
thinking. Like, it doesn't make sense because unless, like, I mean, Kayleen was like 10 years old when he started the bunker. Unless he started taking her with her, like, they don't know where the location is either. They don't know where he goes. Um, I don't know.
Exactly.
I mean, of course, he could have perhaps maybe shared it with them. Maybe they know their location, and maybe he's like, I don't want them coming here. Um,
Mhm. Uh, it's just so weird because it's like uh, it it almost seems that like he killed them out of a place of like care or
he's trying to
love
make it sound
in a
like
way.
that. Yeah, yeah.
Right? Like instead of leaving them alone, instead of having them fend for themselves while he disappears, like he just kills them so they don't have to worry about
I feel like,
anything.
yeah,
You know what I
it's
mean?
definitely that savior complex of like I'm saving them from like the apocalypse type of thing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. And A- and the way he like killed them as well, just like a single gunshot wound to the head with a suppressed
Hmm.
weapon, that feels like an
That's why I
execution,
also
right?
asked if it was just like a
Like a
single
merciful
shot.
kind of killing type of
Yeah,
thing.
because there was
Yeah,
like no,
like
it
it
doesn't seem like
didn't.
there was like malicious intent behind it. I mean, obviously, like he killed his wife and daughter, but compared
Yeah,
to other cases, there's not like multiple wounds. It's very, like you said, execution
mm-mm.
style.
Like it doesn't. It doesn't seem like a crime of like
Mm-mm.
hatred or something like that, right? And I think that's what's so interesting to me of why did he do this?
Now,
I don't know.
I don't know
Um,
if
yeah.
you know this because obviously part of the house was burned. Um, the bodies were found in the kitchen area, or were they found like in other areas?
Um,
Because
I think they were in like the
okay, I'm
living
trying to
room.
figure out if they were found together or in
Let me
different
see.
locations.
Um, um, I I think they were
Yeah,
together.
that's also what's concerning because if they were found together, that means that one of them got shot before the other one, so the other one knew what was coming.
And they were watching it
Yeah.
happen. I don't know. I also wonder, like so this case, there I tried to find like a collective set of
Mhm.
information, but there's literally like
Okay.
nothing. I'm just piecing this together from a bunch, like so many news
I was gonna say, I'm
articles
sure that the
and
only
things like
thing you
that.
could I mean, the majority of things you could find were, like, what the news covered because it was such a
Exactly,
big
yeah. Because
story.
like lots of cases have like a Murderpedia
Mhm.
page or like a Wikipedia page or something where you can pull info
Yeah.
from. This doesn't. Literally everything is all from news
Uh-huh.
articles that I'm learning and like the video
Yeah, that you
that
found.
he posted. Um so there's not actually all too many details like that. And so that also makes me wonder, like, how did he like subdue them in a
Yeah.
way? Were they subdued at all? Like, were they running away, or were they like just sitting down asleep? Were they sitting down on the
That's what I was
couch
trying to
watching a
figure out,
show and he came up like
because if they
behind
were
them?
both, like, together, like, the bodies found together, then that means that either they knew what was coming and, like, they were either, like, restrained in some way or, like,
Hmm.
like, maybe he executed them separately and then dragged them to a room. But if there's no, like,
Yeah,
blood trail, I don't know how you could
I don't
assume
believe
they were dragged.
I don't believe there was. Yeah. Um yeah, I'm not entirely sure. Um let me see. Um I don't know.
No, that's fine. I
I'm
mean,
just looking through like quotes
his videos.
of his videos of like the King County sheriff.
Mhm.
His name
And was that the only
was,
video that he recorded? Because 'Cause I'm sure they found a collection, but was that the only one where he, like, talked about his daughter and wife?
yes, it was that
Okay.
video. That was the only one that he really mentioned them. There were some like other videos they found of him just like giving like a tour of his
Okay.
bunker and like showing things around, right? But it yeah, that was like the end video that he
Got it.
recorded. But yeah, the sheriff at the time, his name was Steve Straken, and um one of the quotes that he said the video was, quote, breathtaking in its evil. And I kind of agree with that. It was
I see
terrible.
that, yeah.
Yeah, the sheriff, he said, quote, it is a little bit chilling because it makes you very aware of the fact that he planned to go into the bunker weeks, months, probably years ahead of time, and also indicates that he planned to commit the double homicide years
Which
ahead of
means
time.
it was always in the back of his head, like, "Is today the day?" Which is honestly
Yeah.
scary thinking about. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Especially I mean, it's scary nonetheless, but I think if there was a survivor, like the mother or the wife or the daughter, I think it would just be scary knowing that you lived with a man that always had that in the back of their mind. "Is today the day I kill them?"
I'm going to, yeah, like, is today that I'm gonna
Yeah.
die type of thing. Like, um, so yeah, they never really knew, but that also begs the question of like what made him do it? Why he decide that now was the
Mhm.
time? You know, and I'm just trying to think through what I've read, which isn't very much, and it's not as much as I
Yeah, yeah.
want, is what it
It's
is.
a lot of the same, but it
And
doesn't go in depth.
I don't like know. I don't know what his motive, what his reason was, why he chose what it
Yeah.
was. Um, there are quotes from some of his coworkers, um, that he said on the week of like April 18th, the week before. He said he was gonna go on like a little, like he was gonna be gone, and he apparently said that that might be the last time that they see
Okay,
him,
what
like
did
the
he
last
do
time he
for
comes into
work?
work as
His
well.
the coworkers, I don't know if it states or not, but
Um, let's see. Yeah, it doesn't say what he actually did.
no, that's fine.
He's just described as a survivalist, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, bum, 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 bum. Yeah, no, there's really not much. that actually is described.
Is there
But
anything else from the family, like the in-laws?
mm-mm,
Okay.
not really that either. Um,
Toulouse?
and I think like it's
Yeah.
this case really like not gets under my skin, but I'm just like, why?
Yeah.
Like, why did he do this? It makes zero sense
Yeah.
whatsoever. It makes absolutely zero sense.
Especially when he didn't leave any
And
sort of records of why he was doing it. It was also crypted
mhm,
in that last video.
I don't know. Like even going through Reddit and looking through like
Theories out
different
there.
theories and stuff like
Yeah.
that as well. Somebody was like, "Why? Like most people build bunkers and then take their family there in order to
Yeah, and
survive.
it's
Like,
I mean,
why did he plan this out for so
a
long?"
two floor bunker, like it seems like you would be able to like fit three people there. And
Mm-hmm.
he put so much work
Or
into it.
yeah, someone else said like, "What's the point in worrying about the end of the world and building a bunker if you're just gonna shoot your family and then kill
Yeah.
yourself?" Like, I,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't understand it, and that's why I hate this case, and that's why I covered it.
Fair. No.
Um,
It it makes sense to some extent and then it just stopped making sense completely.
it does. Um, but other than that, there's really not much else for me to talk about. That is the Rattlesnake Ridge murderer, Peter Keller,
Is that
as
what
he
what's
was
he's
kind of
called?
cool. It's been described as like the Rattlesnake Ridge
Okay.
murders, because it was in that area off that
Okay.
trail.
Fair.
Um,
Wow.
but yeah, I'll send you that video, and then
I can put that link for the video on our website as well if people want to watch it.
yeah,
I mean, once
I mean
again, it's the link. People, if people want to watch it, they just
it's
click on
publicly
it.
out there,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, it's publicly out there.
Yeah.
So, um, anyway, what do you have for
Um,
us, Jay?
well, I would say hopefully something not as dark, but I don't think that's for me to choose. I mean, I think that's for
Okay,
people to decide.
okay,
Um, definitely not your typical. I mean, it's a well-known haunting, I would say.
okay,
Maybe
but it's not like a typical haunting,
it's
or
a like generational haunting, kind of generational. Maybe not. Okay, let me just
okay.
get into it.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay, because for this case, we're going to the East Coast. Um, we're going to Florida, and we're going to cover one of the quote unquote most haunted artifacts. Um,
Okay.
I know the word most haunted is thrown out there a lot.
It
Um,
really is.
so
Yeah.
that's why I'm like one of the most, like not the most, just one of the most. I think that is a good way to describe it, maybe.
Okay.
Now, as I start telling the story, feel free to stop me at any time and let me know your theories of what you think this haunted artifact might be, because I'll
Okay.
give you some like background, some backstory, and then you might have a couple theories, and then I'll tell you what the artifact is.
Okay. Sounds good.
But before we head
I'm
to
ready.
Florida, because that's that's where everything takes place. Let's go back a little bit further, and let me tell you. Let's go back in time a little further, and let me tell you of who is responsible for the story we have today. If not, I wouldn't have a case. I'd have a case, just not this one.
But there's not this one. It would be some other
Yeah,
case
yeah.
out
So who
there.
is responsible
Yeah.
for the creation of this most haunted artifact? So the story takes
Okay.
place in Florida. We're gonna make a quick stop in South Germany. So I want you.
What?
I know. I know.
Okay. Okay.
No, it's fine. Yeah. It might make sense.
Big jump in
Hopefully. Oh yeah,
location. Yeah.
definitely.
Get into it. I'll.
Yeah. So I want to introduce you to Margaret Steve. Stife.
Margaret Stife.
Steiff.
Okay.
She was born on July 24th of 1847. So quite a bit back. And Margaret was born in, ooh, I learned how to say this, but now I don't. It's in German. Uh, Geingen and de Brez.
Okay.
Okay. And at the age of, so it's in the south of Germany. And at the age of 18 months, she suffered from polio.
Okay.
So Margaret herself, she was a survivor. She overcame polio as a child, and quickly she built a thriving business against all odds. It would be in 1877 that Margaret founded her felt clothing shop, and she successfully made garments and household articles. And she was soon able to employ a number of seamstress.
Okay. So she had a whole like business
Yeah,
going.
yeah.
Like, okay,
So
that's cool.
so far, any ideas as to what this haunted artifact might be?
A dress.
No. So
A pair of socks.
that'd be fun. That'd be funny. Actually,
Okay.
yeah, that'd be funny. I'm trying to think if there's any
It
like
would be.
haunted piece of like clothing out there, but
Haunted socks.
yeah.
They're like floating around.
Okay, but in 1880, the official founding date of this Steiff manufacturing. So that's when
Okay.
Margaret sees a pattern for a small fabric elephant in a fashion journal, and she sews the elefante. And according to this pattern, the felt elephant at the time was intended to be a pincushion, but pretty soon it became a
Okay,
popular
got it.
children's toy because they were like, "Oh,
It's kind of
it's
cute.
cute."
It's just a cute little elephant.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the first Steiff catalog is soon published, and it shows not only elephants but also monkeys, donkeys, horses, camels, pigs, mice, dogs, cats, rabbits, and giraffes.
God
Yeah.
damn.
Any idea?
The whole
Yeah,
zoo.
basically. And I'll talk more about the zoo in just a minute. But any ideas what
Okay.
that haunted
Okay.
artifact might be?
No.
Fair. No, I gave you a
I
lot.
don't
We went
know.
from clothing to stuffed animals.
Yeah.
So in 1902, um, we have the birth or like slash creation of the first teddy bear.
Oh, that makes sense. I'm
No, you're
dumb.
fine. Just to let you know that teddy bear is not the haunted artifact.
Fuck. Okay.
But the teddy
Um,
bear was created in 1902. Like before 1902, there was no stuffed teddy bear, which is a little crazy to think about. So Margaret's favorite nephew, Richard Steiff, he designed the Bear 55 PB, um, the world first plush bear. I think that's what the PB stands for. I don't know what the 55 stands
plush
for.
bear. Got
Yeah,
it. Okay.
with movable arms and legs, the original. And then Richard is allowed to present his teddy bear at the another German name, Liebsing Toy Fair.
Definitely German
Yeah,
name. Mm-hmm.
and it immediately conquers the world. The breakthrough comes when an American dealer discovers the bear and he orders 3,000 of them. And then the bear becomes a successful sale in the US.
Hell yeah.
Now, part of the reason, this is just a fun fact I'm throwing out there, that the teddy bear became so popular was because American President Theodore Roosevelt, also known as Teddy, he helped
Mm-hmm.
make the Steiff bear famous
How?
because he refused to shoot a tied up bear during a hunting trip. And then the newspapers had little like um, drawings of like Theodore Roosevelt just walking away from a bear in the back. Um,
It's kind of
It is kinda
cute, I
cute,
guess. I don't
it's
know.
because Teddy Ro that's when they called him, Teddy Roosevelt, and
Mhm.
that contribute to the
That's how he got Teddy from.
yeah. No,
Okay.
that's fine. I didn't know this before either.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it.
And then in 1907, they produced close to 1,000,000 teddy bears.
Holy
Yeah,
shit.
and
That is a lot, especially for back
oh, yeah.
then.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And then at the age of 61, Margaret Steiff, died on wait, yeah. At the age of 61, Margaret Steiff died on May 9th, 1909. She died in the presence of her
Okay.
family, and the death was
Mhm.
because of pneumonia. Now, after her death, the company continues to grow. It continues to be run by her
Yeah.
nephew, and that's where we stop this history lesson.
Okay. Very
Yeah,
abruptly.
I mean, she died, and I'm like, okay, that this is the woman who is responsible for the haunted artifact we'll be talking about. Just wanted to give you a little bit
Got
of
it. Got it.
knowledge on that.
So, Margaret Seif.
Stife, yeah.
Stife. There we go.
Now, fun fact: when you said the whole zoo, I'm glad you brought that up because they have the world's largest petting zoo, and I just sent you the link to it. It's in
Okay.
Germany, of course. Uh,
Let me check it out.
yeah, go for it. Check it out.
Oh, wow.
And they're like huge stuffed animals. They're like your kid can
That's
ride on
cool.
them, type of thing.
Okay. We got to send this link
Oh
too.
yeah, for
Or
sure.
put this link in like a
Something a
post
little
or
fun.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Now that that's out of the way, let's. Do you have any theories of what that haunted artifact might be?
Raggedy Ann.
Close. You're not far off.
Oh,
So
yo.
this is the case. You're
Okay.
literally just like maybe like 1 degree away from it. Um,
No,
this is the
what?
case of Robert the doll. So it is a doll.
Super
Yeah.
similar. Like, okay. Okay.
Have you ever heard of Robert the doll?
I don't think
Okay,
so.
well, he's quite
Maybe.
popular nowadays. Quite popular a few years
Wait.
back.
I might
Okay.
have heard of him, but I'm not gonna just tell me the
Okay.
story.
Feel free to, like if it's the one you're thinking of, feel free to be like, yeah, I have heard of him or something.
Okay.
Now, Robert the doll was part of a 1904 Steiff catalog, and because it's a type of like it's a unique doll, it was likely a one of a kind commission, and it was intended to be a window display because also this doll was quite large. It was it's
Okay.
40 inches tall. Um,
Big
yeah,
doll.
3 feet 4 inches.
A little over
Yeah,
3 feet.
3 feet
Yeah.
4 inches.
3 feet 4 inches.
And it has human-like features that were not typically found in children's toys at the time. So once again, this is why they think that it was a commission for like a window display. Now,
Got it.
there's multiple theories of where the doll came from, but the most popular is the Steiff Company. That's why I went into the history of it. Um, the doll was also made from fabric stuffed with wood wool, which was a popular material in the early 20th century for toy making. Now, there is a little bit of talk of how Robert the doll came from Germany to Key West, Florida, because that's where we're going. It's not very well documented. It's widely believed that it was purchased or a gift to the Odo family. That is the family we'll be talking about. Odo.
Okay.
Yeah. And the Odo family was very prominent and affluent in Key West, Florida. So
Gotcha.
let's talk about who makes up the Odo family. So we have the parents, obviously, the head of the household. The head of the family was Thomas Otto, and he was a local physician. And then we also have his wife, Minnie Otto, which is a nice name. We don't hear that often.
That is cute.
Now,
No.
Minnie came from a
Thomas and
yeah,
Minnie.
Minnie came from a wealthy background, and she had a strong interest in social events and local society. And the family lived in a Victorian style home in Key West. The house is still standing today, and it's known as the Artist House.
Okay.
And they
The
had
artist house is a
it
cool name.
is. I'll talk more about why it's called that later, but Just keep that name in mind.
Got it.
They had 4 kids. Very controversial that the person we're talking about was an only child. There's 4 kids. I went to findmygrave.com and I was able to find both parents, and they're listed there. And if you're like, that's not right, look at the tombstone for Minnie. Minnie, it says, mother of blank, 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 blank. Her 4 kids. So
That's
they
cool.
had 4 kids. The first child was named, here we go again,
You got this.
Mizpah, Mizpa.
Mizpah.
Yeah,
Okay.
she was born on June 18th, 1892. The second child was Joseph. He was born on December 3rd, 1895. And the third child was named Thomas Jr., born on April 26th, 1897. Honestly, you can forget about those 3 kids because I'll never bring them up again.
Cool. I was gonna ask about the fourth
Yes,
kid.
the fourth kid, the
Yeah.
youngest child, is the one that we're going to be focusing on. His
Okay.
name was Robert Eugene Otto, and he was born in October 25th, 1900. Yes,
1900. Okay.
just 1900, which I think it's kind of
Not
cool.
just 1900.
Yeah.
You don't see that often.
And he was also known as Gene, nickname for Eugene. Yeah.
Gene. Okay.
And he's going to be central to the story. He was also reportedly a very sensitive and artistic boy who had a vivid imagination. Now, the Otto family employed several servants during the late 19th and early 20th century. There's very few records of the servants, so there's not really like a documented, amount of servants that they hired. The historical records just indicate that they had at least 2 notable staff members, which we'll be talking about. And the Ottos, unfortunately, were also known to be stern with their servants and sometimes even mistreating them.
Oh, that
Yeah.
sucks.
So,
Fuck the autos.
yeah. I'm pretty sure that you'll want to repeat that in the future.
Okay. Sounds good. I'll keep that
Yeah.
in mind.
So there's Emily Abbott.
Abbott. Okay.
Emily served as a nanny to Robert. And then there was also her husband, William Abbott, who was originally a drug porter, which I had no idea what that was.
Yeah. What is a drug
It's
porter?
someone that just works for like.
I mean, I know, but maybe the listeners don't know.
Yes, listeners, in case you don't
So
know, I had to look it up.
yeah, I totally know.
It's someone that works
It's
for like
fine.
pharmaceuticals or like things like that. So
Okay.
yeah, not necessarily like a pharmacist, but someone that works with pharmaceuticals.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's what he did for a
Yeah.
job until he was employed by the Otto family as well. Now,
As just like a servant.
I guess so.
I guess.
I couldn't really find
Okay.
information as what his job was on property. Which once again, like there's very few records. And of course, if you mistreat your servants, you're not going to keep records. Now, with that out of the way, let's talk more about Eugene. Now, it all started when Robert Eugene Otto, don't worry, I won't call him that the whole entire case. He was
Okay.
4 years old. The year was 1904, 4 years after, of course, he was born. And for some reason, his nanny, Emmeline, she was fired because supposedly Minnie saw her doing some black magic in the yard.
What the fuck? Okay.
Yeah, so
What was there a description of this black magic,
no,
or was it just black
it
magic?
just says that Emmeline saw her performing some black magic in the backyard.
What is considered black
Thank you.
magic?
Thank you.
Then like what?
Now,
Okay.
because of this, Minnie was just like, "Hey, pack your bags, you're fired."
Damn.
Which, in my case, if I saw my employees performing black magic, I ain't saying anything. You can say, "Do you want a raise?"
No, you bring up a good point. Like if they're doing black magic, like they could curse me with some shit
Exactly.
if I fire
You don't want to
them.
mess with them.
Just be like, hey, you can practice black magic, just like don't do it
Yeah,
here.
don't do it out in the open.
Yeah, and like don't make me a part of it. Thank you
Exactly,
very
yeah.
much. I'll pay you extra. Yeah, go ahead.
Here's your bonus. So before Emmeline left, after she got fired, she gave Robert a lifelike doll, which stood at 40 inches, like I said, 3 feet, 3 inches tall. Who had button eyes, and some say that he had human hair, believed to be Robert's hair, and he was filled with straw. So this is Robert the doll. So
Not Robert the
yeah,
person.
yeah. So Emmeline gave
Okay.
Robert the doll.
So she gave Robert a doll kind of like of himself, and it's some of its hair was Robert's actual
Yeah,
hair. Like she got locks of hair from him and like
from
made it
this
into the doll.
four-year-old, put it into the doll.
Okay,
Once
sounds
again,
good.
this is one of those theories. We don't actually know what his hair is made of. Now,
Oh, okay.
some say that the doll was given as a gift, to part ways. Others have theories that it was perhaps a gift as retaliation for wrongdoing. At least that's what some locals believe as we get into the story. Um,
Okay.
because during they said that, you know, um, Emmeline was she didn't take the firing very well. So there's a 1924 legal notice
Yeah.
in the Miami News that reports Emily Abbott that sued the estate, um, of Jean's father, Dr. Thomas Otto. So of course she's like, I'm going to sue you because you fired me because of black magic. What is that?
Hmm.
Nowadays, you could
Good
probably
for
sue
her.
them because of that. Back in the day, I'm sure
Yeah.
that, yeah,
I mean, I guess that kind of proves that she wasn't actually doing black magic, because if she was doing black magic, she could have just like killed her or like cursed her. You know what I mean?
fair,
So,
fair.
she didn't know how to do it, so she turned to legal
Yeah, there's
proceedings.
also another theory that I'll get towards the end of the story of why she gave Robert the doll, but we'll get that into that later. So
Okay.
Robert Eugene became very affectionate with this new doll, a 4-year-old. He's like, "Oh my god, a doll that's almost as tall as me." Um, he ended up naming,
That's pretty
yeah,
awesome.
he ended up naming. So the doll didn't have a name at the time that she gave him the doll. It was like, "Here's a doll.
Hmm.
Goodbye."
Hmm.
So Robert Eugene ended up loving the doll so much that he ended up naming it after himself.
That's crazy. Narcissist alert.
Yeah, so it's a little creepy. So that's when the doll gained the name Robert. Something else that was a little bit creepy that started to happen is that he started to dress the doll with his own clothes that no longer fit him.
I mean, I guess that's normal. He's still like a little
Yeah,
kid.
and the doll was
He has
tall
extra
enough,
clothes,
3
whatever.
feet, three
Yeah,
inches.
whatever.
Um,
It's not that weird.
Basically, they ended up becoming like a twin, but with a doll. Um, it gets creepier when Robert, the kid, he tells people to not call him Robert anymore, to call him Gene, his middle name, because Robert was the doll's name,
That was
not
the doll's
his.
name. Okay, that's
Yeah.
weird.
Once again, a 4-year-old, so I'm just like, I might let it slide, but
Oh, okay. I mean, if he's like, you don't look into it too much because like it's just a little kid being a little kid, but
yeah.
still, it's like, okay, bud,
Also, it's
give him a
important
pat
to
on the
bring up that
head.
he didn't actually live in a block with other kids. Like, there was no kids his age.
Oh, so this was his
This was his
friend. Like
friend.
this.
Yeah, it's why he grew so
Got it.
attached to the doll.
Okay, so he was probably just a weird little 4 year
Yeah, I
old.
mean, you don't have kids to
Okay,
socialize. Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
Um, and at some point, Robert was also given a little stuffed dog to hold, and the name of the stuffed dog was Leo.
Okay, that's
Don't
cute.
know when the
He's
dog
actually
came
kind of
in.
cute.
Don't know if there was a dog with him the whole time, but there's a dog with the doll as well.
Okay,
So from
cool.
now on, I'm going to be
Dog
referring to the human child as Gene and to the doll as Robert.
as Robert.
Yes.
Okay.
So we have Gene and Robert. And Gene, as a 4-year-old, he would have Robert join the family for meals. He would have Robert sit with them at the table. He would pretend to feed him food. He would even tuck him into bed at night. Like we said, basically treating him like a real boy.
And once again, 4-year-old, whatever, but like, but it's still
It
kind of
is
weird.
kind of weird. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, what can you do? So at first, Minnie thought that it was just Gene playing with his doll, just kids being kids, like we said. Um, but pretty sure she was unable to tell, because if she was walking by his room and and his door was closed, apparently she said that she could hear the voice of not only Gene, but like Gene talking to Robert and Robert responding back to Gene. And
It's just him change two different voices.
see, and that made sense
Uh,
until she said that she realized that the voice was too low for a 4-year-old to make.
okay, that's creepy as
Yeah.
fuck.
Um, and pretty soon, Gene's behavior would change. He would start to get irritated easily. And when his mom would ask Gene what was wrong, Gene just said that he got in a fight with Robert.
My God,
Yeah.
they're beefing
Oh,
now.
definitely. Yeah.
They've got drama.
And I'm going to send you a picture of Robert the doll real quick.
What could a 4-year-old possibly get in a fight with, like, four, and especially with a doll? What?
So, no, that's the thing. It's like, it's a 4-year-old getting in a fight with a doll. So, what exactly is happening? So I'm gonna send you a picture of Robert right now so you can take a look at it. And you can see that it's not your typical doll. It's not. It's like a creepier version, I would say, of Raggedy Ann. I would say, and
Okay.
you can see that it's still wearing that sailor uniform. That sailor uniform is Eugene's. It's his.
If I look at this doll, am I gonna get like haunted or some shit?
Do you want to
Like,
wait
am I
till
gonna
the
get
end? No, you
cursed?
won't. So is it the case you thought it was?
I don't think
Okay.
so.
Feel
Well,
free to take a
I don't
look at the
know.
doll.
To all that is holy, protect me.
It's a Florida guy.
um.
Last time I checked, at least.
Oh, it's this
Yeah, so you have
doll.
seen it.
I've seen it, but I haven't like known anything
Okay.
about it.
So this is
Oh,
Robert the doll.
okay.
Yeah. So eventually Gene, um, as I said, he became a little bit irrational. He also became angry. There's lots of stories surrounding Gene and what happened after he received the doll. One story describes that Gene would actually start to terrorize the servants at home. He would push them into a closet and he would hold the door closed so they couldn't escape. Yeah.
Crazy. Okay.
And then when they would confront Gene with the abuse, Gene always blamed his toy Robert the doll. It's like, it wasn't me, it was Robert. Now, one day Minnie walked into Gene's room to find that Gene was sitting in a corner, just like shaking with fear. And Robert was like perched on a chair, just staring at him.
Just on the
Yeah, just
chair,
staring at,
just like standing
yeah.
on it, just
Hmm.
staring. Okay.
So eventually things began to be thrown across the room. You would hear giggling coming from empty rooms, and Gene's toys would get destroyed. Like his toys would be broken. And whenever they would like confront him, like, why are you breaking your toys? There is a story that one of his favorite toys was broken, and he's like, it didn't break them. It was Robert. Like, this is my favorite toy. I would never break it. So once again,
They should have just. I would have thrown Robert away at this point. Like, get rid of
yeah.
him. Sorry, Robert. Love you. Don't kill me. Not trying to
It's
insult
like
you,
just saying what you would do in that
but
situation.
um, but
Yeah.
yeah.
So as mischief grew, more and more servants ended up leaving. There was like a high turnover rate for
Smart.
the servants once they got hired, because either weird things would happen at home or Gene would start torturing them. Now, the Otto's relatives felt that there was something, that it was time to do something. With the recommendation of his great aunt, Gene's parents removed Robert from like Gene's possession, and they placed him in a box in the attic. They're like,
Yeah.
Now, this is where Robert stayed for many years. There's another story that says that it was Robert's great aunt who took the doll from him and put it in the attic, and then that the aunt mysteriously died a few days later.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Um,
Now, after locking Robert up in the attic, Jean seemed to have a regular life growing up. Like, for a while, there was still giggling and noises here and there, but it all kind of died down, and Jean grew up as a regular boy. Gene grew up. He moved away from Key West to pursue a career in arts. And then Gene ended up studying art in the Art Institute of Chicago. And then he later continued his education in Paris, where he just,
wow.
yeah,
This kid just grew up to be like stellar.
exactly.
What?
Like as soon as the doll was removed, he was able to grow without, I don't know, being tortured or like without that trauma.
Wow. And so there was no like, at least documented, there was no like turmoil that he experienced, or like did he miss Robert or anything, or was it just like, oh, he's
There
gone,
was
I'm
times where
moving
the
on with my
parents did
life type of
originally
thing?
want to take Robert from Gene and Gene would say no. And I think it was only just when the aunt stepped in that they were finally able to take Robert away. Don't know if he put up
Got
a
it.
fight or for how long he grieved, but he grew up to have a regular life. Or did he?
Okay, wow. Or did he?
So, like I said, he ended up moving to Chicago to study and then Paris. And then his time in Europe just allowed him to hone his skills with painting, and, just developing his artistic voice. His style was heavily influenced by surrealism. Wow.
Surrealism?
Surrealism, thank you. And
Yeah.
expressionist, wow, movements.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then he gained a modest recognition for his work. So he was starting to be,
That's really
yeah.
cool, actually.
And then while in Paris, it's when Jean got to. By the way, after Robert was put away, he would still go by Jean. He never took his name back.
So he is just
He's
Gene
just Jean at
permanently
this
now.
point. Yep. But it would be in Paris that Jean would meet his future wife, Annie Parker. Now, Annie was a woman from Boston, and she had interest in, art and culture. So she was drawn to Gene's creativity, his charm, and the two of them began dating. And then they got
Okay,
married
yeah, that's cool.
on May 3rd,
Wow.
1930.
Wait, so when do they meet?
They met,
What year?
I don't know the year that they met, but they got married in 1930.
Okay,
At this
1930 they
point,
got
Gene
married.
was
Got
30
it.
years old. He was born in 1900. And they
Okay,
got married in Paris because that's where they were at the
that's
time.
cute.
Yeah. So Annie came from a well-known family, and she shared Jean's appreciation for finer things in life, but she was also like pragmatic and grounded. She was initially completely unaware of Jean's past with the attachment he had to Robert as a child.
Well, yeah, of course. Like, why would she
Yeah,
know
and
about
how would
that?
you, as a
You know?
4-year-old, remember that or like bring that up? I was like, oh yeah, when I was 4, I had this doll. The couple eventually lived in New York for a little time, where Gene tried to like establish himself as an artist. He exhibited his paintings in several galleries, but he struggled to achieve the success that he wanted. So, because of financial
That
pressure, yeah,
sucks.
it does. Especially when you're like doing so well, like in Europe, and then like you come back and it's
Yeah.
like, oh.
It's like, nope.
So financial pressures eventually got to Gene, and then he was just nostalgic, missing Key West, and it led him to like talk to Annie, and they considered relocating back to Florida. Now, Gene just spoke very fondly of his childhood home. He just emphasized how spacious it was, and that it had a lot of potential as both a residence and a studio. So it
Okay.
would be when Gene's father passed away that Gene inherited the Otto family Victorian mansion, which is 534 Eden Street. Um, it's still open for tours, so if people want to visit.
That's cool.
The couple, that's when they moved back to Key West with the opportunity for a fresh start. And Gene
Mm-hmm.
was ready to just get back into his art.
Yeah, and so they took it,
Yeah.
right?
So, well,
Oh.
settling into the house, Jean would rediscover something. Care to guess? Yep.
Robert.
So, Jean, it's like a horror movie. Like, 4-year-old gets tortured. He grows up, comes back into the family household. Here's the doll again. Um, Jean rediscovered Robert the doll in the attic. And almost immediately, his childhood attachment to the doll was reignited. Um,
Wow,
he
weird.
insisted on bringing Robert back into his daily life. Um, so Jean gave Robert his own room. Um, yep,
What?
his room was in the turret, where the doll actually sat overlooking the street. Um,
Oh, that's
and
creepy.
he started to treat Robert as more than a toy. Often he would speak to him and just involving him into his day-to-day activities. And Annie, you know, initially she was amused by like Jean's, quirkiness, but of
Mm-hmm.
course she became increasingly disturbed by his fixation on this doll.
Yeah.
Eventually, she started to feel like
Yeah.
a sinister presence in the house, and she suspected that Rubber was the cause of it, the center of it.
That's crazy. Like actually being able to like feel
Something wrong.
like that it's not
Yeah,
good. Yeah.
yeah. And despite Annie's efforts to like lock Robert back into the attic, either it was through Jean or the doll itself, it always just seemed to return to its spot in the turret room. Now, there's also stories of
The
school
fuck?
kids that would often walk home, but because
Yeah, I was gonna say that. Like, imagine walking down the street, you look up and there's just this fucking creepy ass doll staring down
oh
at
yeah,
you.
oh yeah, kids started taking different routes to get home to avoid walking by that house.
I would
Yeah,
too.
because the kids also found the doll creepy, and these kids don't live in
And
the
when
house
kids
there.
find a doll
Yeah,
creepy, that's how you know it's bad.
yeah. So unfortunately, because Robert just became part of like their day to day life, their marriage started to have issues. Um,
Yeah, of
because also
course.
Jean became more obsessed with Robert, and friends, neighbors, they all started to notice that Jean had like odd behavior. And of course, Annie was just growing, more upset. She wasn't happy about the situation. You get married
Hmm.
to like this man.
Yeah, I mean I would too.
Yeah.
So
I think any of
yeah.
us would. We're
Mm-hmm.
married. Why are you obsessed with this
Like you
doll?
married me, not this
Yeah,
doll. Like what?
exactly. Especially when there's been no mention of the doll until you get back into that house.
It's just like you move back in and then you like your boyfriend comes down from the attic with like this doll. He's like, "Hey, look at this doll." You're like, "Oh, that's creepy." And they're like, "No, like but like this doll was so like a part of my
Yeah.
childhood. Like his name's Robert. Like it's
At
awesome."
that point, I'd be like, okay, cool. It was part of your childhood. I was like, leave it in a corner.
Uh, be like kind of weird, but like okay,
Yeah.
dude. Like
It's weird. Um, so Annie also gets concerned because she starts to hear unexplained noises. She hears laughter. They don't
shit.
have kids.
Oh shit.
Jean and Annie never had a child, so they start hearing laughter throughout the house.
Oh
And then
shit.
Robert the doll, he starts appearing in different parts of the house. And this just led to Annie isolating herself from like Jean because Jean would not do anything.
Good. Good.
Jean just focused on Robert the doll and painting, but he never achieved the fame that he wanted. And his artistic output just declined as he was consumed more and more by Robert. So, over a slow period of
I
time,
I would have left. Yeah.
1930s, what is she supposed to do?
This is true.
Yeah. And
This
unfortunately,
is true.
that's when like Annie's mental health started to like deteriorate. Um, some records suggest that she descended into like paranoia or insanity.
Yeah,
Um,
I believe that.
I mean, you're hearing all these noises. You see your husband act in a way he never did until he moved into this house, and you're like, it's the doll. It's the only thing that can explain it. So that's when Annie became just really uneasy with Robert, Jean's fixation. Um, and she just was in full distress throughout the house. Um, some speculate that the eerie atmosphere in the house and her interactions with Robert played a role to like her mental deterioration. Now, they just lived together with this doll until Jean would pass away. He passed away on June 24th, 1974, at the age of 73. He
Hmm.
passed away in the house under unclear circumstances. And almost.
That doesn't
Oh
sound
no,
right.
no. It's always creepy when they're like, "Why did he die? We don't know." Um, Annie, she decided to, as soon as her husband passed away, she moved out. She
Good.
relocated to Concord, Middlesex, Massachusetts. Um,
Okay.
and she lived there until she passed away on January 9th, 1979. She passed away at the age
Okay.
of 86, once again under mysterious circumstances.
Hmm. So she lived for like 5 more years after
Yeah,
after Jean
5 more
died.
years.
About okay.
Now, when she moved out in 1974, the house was sold. The house was sold to Myrtle, Myrtle Ruther. Um, and the
Okay.
story goes that when Anne moved out, the only thing that she left behind was Robert the doll. Yeah.
Good. That's yeah.
However,
I mean, I probably would have just left everything behind. I'm not gonna
fair. Well, I
lie,
mean,
but
yeah, but if you know that like the Robert's the only thing that's keeping you like insane, take what you
yeah, but
want.
like, what if Robert like infected everything or something like that? You know what I
Okay,
mean?
are we having a zombie ghost now?
Yes, we
Got
are.
it. First, um, so the house was sold to Myrtle Ruther, and when she discovered Robert the doll, she decided to keep him.
Bruh.
Yep.
You buy a house. The only thing in there is a creepy ass
Hmm.
doll, and you're like, huh, yeah, let me keep it.
Goes in the
That's
trash.
crazy.
Um, but yeah, so she became Robert's new companion, and she kept him. And when she moved to, eventually Myrtle moved to Finster Street 6 years later in 1994. That's 20 years after she lived with Robert. Um, and then she eventually donated Robert the doll.
To the Margaret Steiff Museum.
No,
Oh wait,
it's not in Germany. It's in Florida. So Robert the doll. Are you good?
yeah, no, I'm waiting for you to say, but I'm also thinking, I'm like, how does Margaret Steiff tie
Well,
in?
because her
Anyway,
company was the one
like,
that made Robert the doll.
okay, but like, other than that, it's not
No, other
like,
than that, there's nothing known about. I don't bring
oh,
up the
okay,
Stife company again.
got it, got it, got it,
Good,
got it.
good theory
Okay.
though.
Anyway, yeah, okay. Anyway, she donated it
She
to.
donated to Fort East Martella Museum in Key West, Florida.
Mhm.
And shortly after she donated it, and she claimed that the doll would move around her house on his own and that it was haunted. So she let this museum know, it's like, hey, here's an old doll that belonged to the Stife company, or like that was manufactured by Stife company. It's one of a kind. Also, it's haunted. Now Myrtle died a few months later after the donation of the doll. Um, some say that the people in the museum, as soon as they found out that it was haunted, that they wanted to return it to her, but because she had passed
Yeah,
away, they're like, "Oh, we're stuck with
they
it."
couldn't.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, Robert was donated, and he wasn't actually intended to be on display at all. They just kept him like
They were just gonna
stored
keep
away.
him.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Until rumors started to spread about Robert and like the Otto family, um, and visitors spread the word about his new residence at this museum. So sometimes people would come to the museum and they would be like, "Hey, can we take a look at Robert?" And they would take him out of storage to show them Robert. Eventually,
God.
the demand was too much to keep up, so they decided to give him, a what do you call it? A
A display
display case.
case?
Yeah. They put him on exhibit, and this is when we start coming more into modern day. Um,
Okay.
because you can go visit Robert the doll, but cameras and electronics are said to malfunction in his presence. And pretty soon, letters began arriving addressed to the doll, offering apologies for being disrespectful towards the doll. Now, letters continue to arrive daily. The museum staff say that even nowadays they receive 1 to 3 letters per day for Robert. Oh, yeah.
Wow. It's a lot.
Yeah. So, ghost hunters, TV shows, psychics, skeptics, and like believers, all sorts of people visit Robert the doll on like a regular basis just to like witness firsthand like the strange stories that they've heard from Robert. Now, like I said, you can visit Robert in Key West, Florida at this museum, but there is eventually they had to put up guidelines. Um
Good. Like, be
yeah,
nice. Be
basically.
respectful.
Basically, be respectful and ask permissions to take his photo. Now, many don't like heed the warning. They believe it to be like a stupid rule or that it just doesn't apply to them. So those people that don't seek his permission often have trouble after they leave. And some say that like Robert like curses them because like they were like
Oh,
disrespectful
God.
or they took pictures without his consent.
Yeah.
So apology letters just flood the museum, like apologizing to Robert. Someone said that at some point they thought that Robert liked candy, so they started sending the apology letters with candy attached to it, because apparently like Robert likes candy. So, in addition, many people that go see Robert claim that they have seen him move in the case, sometimes even change his facial
Mm.
features to look like angry
Oh,
or like
wow.
displeased. Um, and some,
Oh my
yeah, and
God.
some visitors that will go, like, they're like at the exhibit, they're watching Robert the doll. And as they walk away, they hear like a tapping on the case. And when you turn around, you see like the hand on the glass, like as if it was tapping on the case.
No
Yeah.
way.
Yeah. So people that insult Robert, that mock him, that are not respectful, they all have it's a series of unfortunate events that they go through because people have been like diagnosed with like rare exotic illnesses. They lose their
Oh.
jobs, or they even get in car accidents after being rude to Robert. So there is one story that a biker who went to see Robert, like he of course didn't follow the guidelines. He just mocked Robert, said like, "Oh, what are you gonna do? Like you're stuck behind a case, blah blah blah." And he died after visiting the museum.
My God.
So something interesting as well is that the workers are not allowed to close the museum by themselves, and that's because when they first did, they would close the museum by themselves. Either the lights would turn back on, or the worker would get locked inside.
Oh,
And I
God.
think there's nothing more horrifying that you getting stuck inside your workplace. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just
When
saying.
I'm off, I'm off. I need to go
Fair.
home.
So that's when they start implementing 2 of the workers to close the museum down because
Makes
when the lights would
sense.
turn on, they would turn on after the worker would leave. And when the morning staff arrived, they're like, "Hey, you guys didn't close. Like you left the lights on." And they would get in trouble. So it's more of like 2 people to like
Sorry,
vouch for each
I
other.
can't handle combined requests. Try creating a scene or making separate requests.
Who who is
That was my
that?
Siri.
Hey, Siri.
um anyway, there I have some letters for you that I'm going to read to you from people that have mailed them to
Okay.
Robert.
Okay.
This one says, "Dear Robert, I accidentally took footage of you. I am sorry. I should have asked for permission. I will delete the video ASAP. I hope you can forgive me, Gavin. Another one says, I don't know if my visit upset you, as it was never meant to be. Since my visit to Key West, I have experienced some very horrible events. I just hope that they are not connected in any way to my visit, but if they are, please accept my humblest apologies for anything that may have offended you during my time there. Tracy S. So there is a ton of letters, and like I said, they keep getting mailed, daily.
That's a lot.
I am sending you
Yeah.
the link to their
That's
actual
crazy.
website, and you can see that how many letters they actually have in there.
Let me see.
Because, like I said, they get 1 to 3 apology letters per day. And as you
Wow.
scroll down, there's just more and more handwritten, typed, the whole shebang.
That's
hmm
crazy. That's crazy.
So here's the theory of why Robert is haunted. So in 1900, there was a census, and Emmeline, the nanny, was said to have no
That
children.
got
Yeah,
fired.
in
Hmm.
1900, she didn't have any children. But by 1910, the records show that she had lost a child sometime in the previous decade. Um, there's
Oh.
no details of the child's death, it just remains unknown. But one theory suggests that Emmeline, the nanny, she took her dying child
Hmm.
to Dr. Otto's home because maybe he could help. Tragically, the child passed away in his office near the front of the house. Now, however, when the kid passed away, he wasn't alone. Robert the doll was also in the room. So some believe the child's spirit entered the doll.
Oh.
Now, Eugene Otto, the boy at the time, he was also said to be present when the boy passed away. And far from being just like a child playing with a doll, Eugene could like allegedly see the ghost, and that's why he treated him like as a real kid.
Because he could like see that it was a real
Yeah,
kid.
it was the ghost of a
That
kid.
was
Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
And that's why, like, as Eugene grew old, yeah, Gene grew older, he would continue to care for the doll because it was like a
Because it was a
bond.
real
Yeah.
person, like a real kid that
Now,
he was bonded with. Yeah.
psychics speculate that Emmeline blamed Dr. Otto for her child's death. And another theory is that
Hmm.
she sought revenge by working with a local voodoo practitioner,
Um,
and together they allowed,
the
like,
black magic
exactly.
stuff.
And
Yeah.
together they
I
allowed like
see.
vengeful spirits to inhabit the doll. And then she gave the doll to Jean, as in
Gene.
order to like punish the family for firing her unfairly and for also letting her son die.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Now back to
Some good theories. I don't
no, like
know.
it makes sense when like you have the full story laid out. Um, but now in 2024, Robert the doll is permanently displayed at the 4 East Martello Museum in Key West, Florida. He
Hmm.
has been on display since 1994. Um,
That's crazy.
I think he's been on display before that, but in 1994 is when he was placed under the supervision of Key West Art and Historical Society for safekeeping. Now, if
Good.
you want
I
to
mean,
visit the doll nowadays, which maybe if I'm in Florida, I would be down. Just be respectful. Um, don't take pictures, but I'll just.
I don't know about that. I may be sort of skeptic-y-ish in a way, but like I don't know if I want to mess with
I mean,
that.
I'm not gonna say anything. I'm just gonna walk in, don't take pictures, and then walk out very respectfully. Now, as of November,
Don't you have a haunted doll in your room?
I technically have two. I really haven't had any experiences with them other than like my niece. One time I showed them to her and she was like, "Stabby." And I'm like, "What?" And then
Huh?
and I was like, "Did you say stabby?" And she's like, "No." I was like, "What did you say?" And she's like, "No." Like she just didn't like them.
Oh,
Nothing's happened, to be honest.
that's not good.
Yeah, I hope to keep it uneventful.
I hope you do too.
Thank you. I will blame you if it doesn't stay uneventful.
Do not blame me. No.
I will blame
Anyway,
myself
you were
because
gonna
I'm the one
say.
that purchased them.
Yeah.
Now, as of November of 2024, general admission to the museum, it's $15.50. So
Not bad.
really affordable. Now they
Mhm.
also offer night tours for $45. Now, I would be so tempted to try this, but I don't know. It depends on how I feel when I get there.
I don't know.
So the $45 for the night tour include a 30-minute guided ghost through Fort East Mortello, and then a 30-minute seated lockdown with Robert the doll.
No.
You wouldn't do it?
No. I'm good.
Okay. They also offer a VIP ticket for $85, which includes those two things, but it also includes a 1 hour ghost hunting, um, and then also a free next day admission to the museum as well.
I'm good.
You'll pass on the.
I'll pass. Yes. I'll pass on the back shots. Yes. Yes. Okay. So I I completely blanked on like the name, but looking at the picture, I was like, okay, yeah, I recognize this doll. I don't know anything about it though. Yeah. And Jay's gone for some reason. I'm all alone, guys. I'm scared. I'm scared. Um how do I make conversation with myself? I don't know. Would you guys go see Robert the Doll? Would you do the sit down with him in a locked room for half an hour? Oh, not like no offense, Robert the Doll. Um, but you're a great guy and all. Um, but I think I'm good, I don't know if I want to take a trip out to Florida for that. So,
I
welcome
froze.
back. Welcome back.
Hi, thank you. Can you hear me?
Hi. Yes.
Okay, I'm pretty sure I froze at some point.
You did. We were literally talking and you just like disappeared.
Yeah,
So
everything on my
funny.
side just froze, and I was like,
Crazy.
please don't, please don't. We're so close. But
Okay.
yeah, that's
We good
Robert the
though?
doll.
That's
Yeah.
Robert the Doll.
And that is all I have for y'all.
Thank
So you wouldn't
you.
visit Robert the doll?
No.
Got it.
I was feeling some of the time when you were gone, and I was just saying like how I would not want to.
Got it.
I'm okay. Um. Yeah, I'm good on that.
But yeah, a fun story.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's as fun as it can get. Yeah, I would say. Yeah.
I know. I usually have a little bit more of a fun, quirky one, but I
No, I
was
mean
like,
like as fun as like haunted, like murderous dolls. I guess
yeah. I mean,
I don't
like,
know.
no one was ever like, at least on record, like possessed or anything like that thrown across the
This is
room.
true. This is true.
It's
He
more of
never
like,
actually like got physical or anything, except for like the like abuse, I guess,
yeah, yeah.
toward Gene when
When,
when he was a kid.
but yeah, Robert the doll, y'all. Would you visit it, listeners?
Yeah, let
Have
us
you
know.
visited?
Did you know about Robert the Doll? Have you ever been disrespectful towards Robert the Doll?
And there's lots of like
If so, you
theories
should
out there
apologize.
that like if you look at the picture of Robert the doll, you should apologize as well because you looked at it without permission. But people that looked at the picture don't really have any issues with it.
Robert, I'm sorry.
I also apologize just to be safe.
Okay, but now I'm like, do I go back onto the site and look at him and apologize while I'm looking at the picture? I don't
Ah.
know. Like, I don't know.
Some videos have had like a black line over his eyes just for like safety.
I'm sorry for violating your privacy without your consent, Robert.
You had no
I
knowledge.
I I didn't mean to do so. I'm so sorry. I
Nah,
mean that.
it's okay.
I also don't like pictures just like being taken of me and shared and people looking at them. So like I get it.
Fair. You're like, I can
You
relate,
know.
Robert.
Yeah, I can relate. I'm sorry. Robert's just trying to live his life
In a glass case.
in a glass case.
There is a picture of like Robert the doll in the case, and then like because it's the transparent case, like in the back you can see just a bunch of letters on the wall. So
When we post for like this, are you gonna put a picture of Robert the doll?
do you not want me to?
Well, because it's just gonna like show up on people's feed and they'll have like no choice but to look at Robert the doll. I don't know.
But this isn't like the ring. It's not like
This is true. This
I
is
mean,
true.
I
That should be fine.
guess, you
Just
know,
apologize after, listeners.
for the
if
people that
you-
are like hardcore believers and all that on Robert, I will post the picture that has Robert with the black line over his eyes.
That's a good compromise. There we go.
Just
I like
yeah.
that.
Yeah, I will not, and I will put a black line over his eyes in all the pictures. If you want to look him up, that's up to you. But yeah, and I'm also, I think when you saw the link with the letters, there's no picture of Robert in that link. So
No, I don't
I'll
believe so.
put that link on the website as well so people can read the letters and be like, oh.
Sounds good.
But yeah, that is all for tonight, at least for me.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're
Golden.
done.
Yeah. Episode 22. 2-2.
Episode 22. Let us know what you thought. What you thunk.
We're almost at 2 dozen.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
time flies.
It really does. We're almost at the end of the year.
That is true.
We started this at the start of the year.
We did. Which
So-
means we're almost at our year anniversary. We'll have to figure out what to do for that.
I mean, should we do a special year anniversary or should we do a 13-month anniversary episode?
I don't see why we can't do both.
This is true. This is true.
I'm
Let
just
us
going to
know
put a
what-
questionnaire out there for the listeners.
Let us know what you guys want us to do, what cases you think we might cover, what, you know.
or what you want us
what's
to
on the
do.
list.
Like,
Yeah.
do you want us to like celebrate with like funny hats on, or I don't know.
Festive
Yeah.
cases. I don't know.
Should we get a
Something like
cake or something?
A cake with like Jeff the Mongoose on it, like, or like case with like a cake with like Mothman or like. Or
I think that'd be
something.
cool. I'm pretty
That
sure we
would
could
be-
find some. I know a
that would be
baker. She
You know a
was-
baker or
I know a baker. She was on the, you know, that like baking show, like on the Food Channel.
the Great British Bake Off?
I don't think it was the British one.
Probably not
No.
the British one, but
Yeah, she was on the
Yeah.
Halloween one. She was on like the
that's cool.
the
I don't know,
holiday
That's
one.
cool.
yeah. I think
Yeah.
I follow her on Instagram. So like, if y'all want us to do like a paranormal cake, like or like a murder cake, like let us know.
Let us know. It'd be kind of
Let
cool.
us know ahead of time, like please, like now. You know, this
If the
video
ideas popped into your head as you're listening to this, do it. Like send
Yeah.
it in. I don't know.
because we need time for planning. But
Yes,
yeah.
we do. We also need time to sleep, I think.
Yeah,
or
it's
something like that. I
we
don't know.
we are recording kind of late tonight,
Anyway,
and we got work tomorrow.
good night, y'all. Thanks for being here. Episode 22
Of Chambers
of
of
Chambers
the
of the
Occult.
Occult. That was kind of cool.
Yeah. Do you want to
Yeah.
wrap this up?
Yeah. Stay curious, stay safe.
And what's the key word? The magic word?
Smurfs.
Ah!
Bye.
Goodbye.
Thanks for listening to Chambers of the Occult. For photos, sources, and anything else mentioned during the episode, check out our website at chambersoftheoccult.com. You'll find everything you need there if you do find yourself wanting more. You can also follow us on all of our socials at Chambers of the Occult and on Twitter at COTO Podcast. If you have any questions, comments, recommendations, personal anecdotes, or concerns, let us know. Fill out our contact form on our website, email us at chambersoftheoccult@gmail.com, or leave us a message on our socials. We would love to hear from you. And if you enjoyed what you heard, we would greatly appreciate it if you could drop a like, leave a comment, and subscribe. It is absolutely the best way to show your support, and it would mean the world. Until next time.